Well, I'm not going to have too much to show you guys here because Virtua Fighter only has 8 different characters in the game, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right on in. For anyone who's been wondering why there's a whole bunch of Sega titles called Virtua this and Virtua that, essentially it was any game that was rendered using 3D polygons would get the Virtua moniker, and then Sega sort of just ran with it. I'm actually shocked that they didn't have the Sega Virtua console, because around the time the Saturn came out, everything Sega released, like their arcade stick, was the Virtua stick, so yeah, whatever. Alright, so originally released in arcades in 1993, Virtua Fighter revolutionized fighting games. It was the first fully 3D fighter ever created. It was developed by Yu Suzuki's development team AM2 and was a huge international hit for Sega. Players made use of 3 input buttons, punch, kick, and guard, which was quite different from SNK's 4-button layout and Capcom's 6-button fighters. By using different moves with a combination of the 3 buttons, characters could perform a variety of different attacks. Unlike Street Fighter II, this fighting game was based on more realistic movesets, like, for example, variations of actual real martial arts. So don't expect any fireballs here. This is the type of fighter you gotta get up close and personal. Obviously, some players didn't like the more or less slow-paced nature of the game in comparison to Street Fighter II, but others thought its technical prowess was like its main appeal. Basically, the bottom line is this game was extremely unique and very different. It was so revolutionary that it helped usher in an entirely new subgenre within fighting games, and it remains an extremely popular series to this very day. Now that's all in the arcades. When it was released along with the Saturn in May 1995, things didn't go so well. In fact, development on Virtua Fighter for the Saturn was nothing short of a disaster. Due to Sega of America's ridiculous decision to launch the Saturn 4 months earlier than originally planned, AM2 had to rush to meet the new deadline. The result is what you see here. Drastically reduced graphics from the arcade original, gameplay glitches galore, flickering like crazy, and virtually no gameplay modes. You basically have the standard arcade mode and a versus mode, and that's it. This was supposed to usher in a new era for Sega, and all it did was show that Sega of America didn't have a clue what they were doing, and yeah, that was pretty well it. The game was so poorly received that Sega actually issued an apology in the form of Virtua Fighter Remix, which was given away for free to anyone with who registered the console. Talk about a slap in the face, no? To all those people who were looking forward to the Saturn, you know, people like me. I was shocked when I brought home my Saturn only to discover this. I mean, it played like garbage. The biggest apology Sega could make, though, honestly, was with Virtua Fighter 2. No, they didn't give it away for free, but it was released only a few months later in December 1995, and it seemed virtually impossible to come from the same development team on the same hardware. Honestly, it looks a generation ahead. I'm going to review that game next to show you guys the comparison. So the bottom line is here, do not, under any circumstances, buy this version of Virtua Fighter, unless you're like masochistic and you just like games that don't work well. It pales in comparison to Virtua Fighter Remix and especially to Virtua Fighter 2. If you want to experience the original, seek out Remix. It goes for a couple of bucks on eBay, even though it isn't as good as the original arcade version. Or you know what? Do yourself a bigger favor and just pick up Virtua Fighter 2 and pretend it's part 1, because it's just so much better anyway. That's about all I've got time for. I hope you enjoy the footage, and even if the footage looks good, believe me, the gameplay in this, with all the glitches and the flickering and everything, it's not. Pick up Virtua Fighter Remix. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the film.
KO. Fight 2. Ready.